Hey guys, welcome to Grammar and Writing Lesson 67. We've got a lot to review, so we're going to jump in and get started. You have vocabulary this week, so make sure you have your notebooks out and ready to go for that. We're going to start off with a prefix focus. Philos is the Greek word, so when we use it as a prefix, we use it in the form of phil or philo. Phile or philo also could be said. The definition is loving. Loving. I don't know if any of you have heard of the city of Philadelphia. Probably a few of you have. The city of Philadelphia in the United States, it means the city of brotherly love because of that feel beginning that it comes from the Greek prefix, philos, meaning loving. So a philatelist. Philatelist. Do you have any guesses as to what that could mean? It's a person who enjoys collecting, arranging, and studying postage stamps. Yeah, postage stamps. Interesting, right? Did you know that that was such a hobby? It even had a name? Well, there you go. It does. Philatelist. So a philatelist is a person who enjoys collecting, arranging, and studying postage stamps. For example, the philatelist searched the catalog to find the value of a stamp. Philanthropist, that's another one, philanthropist. This one is maybe a more common one. More of you probably have heard of this one. A philanthropist is someone who loves mankind and ends up doing a lot of good things for people, not for any type of reward or gain for themselves, just because they love people and they want to help people. That's a philanthropist. It's often a person who spends a lot of money trying to help people, usually because that's how this world runs, is on money. So philanthropists usually have to spend a lot of their own money in order to do things to help people, but they do it just for the good of mankind. So for example, a generous philanthropist gave money for a new city park. Philologist. Philologist. Might be thinking, what in the world is a philologist? It's a fun word though. That is a person who loves literature and other written records. So it's not just, not simply books. It's any kind of writing. A person who loves books could be considered a philologist, but there are other words for people who love specifically books. But a philologist is someone who loves all types of writing. For example, my friend, a philologist, can hardly wait to study the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now, this sentence is not a true sentence to me. I don't have any philologist friends. Most of my friends actually don't like books, with the exception of Miss Haley and Miss Bethany. They love books like I do, but most of my friends, not philologists. All right, let's fill in the blank with the correct vocabulary word. Wanda, a blank, delivers food and clothing to the needy and donates large sums of money to improve people's lives. What would that be? Philatelist, a philanthropist, or a philologist? Peter, a blank, remains a student in his old age and enjoys studying literature and historical records. Philatelist, philanthropist, philologist. Number 3, Stephen, a blank, collects postage stamps from Scandinavia and Iceland. And finally, the Greek root meaning loving is blank. Okay, if you haven't already put your answers, go ahead and pause. Wanda, a philanthropist, delivers food and clothing to the needy and donates large sums of money to improve people's lives. So it's philanthropist because she clearly is someone who loves people and wants to help them. Peter is a philologist. He enjoys studying writing. Stephen is a philatelist. He likes collecting stamps. The Greek root meaning loving is philos, or you may have put philo or feel. That would be fine. Okay, let's talk about grammar. We're going to be talking about sentences. You have your evaluation, your grammar evaluation, coming up on Friday. It's got sentences, capitalization, and punctuation in it. So that's why we're doing all this review work, is just to get you ready for that. The sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought and contains a subject and a predicate, which is also the verb. So the complete subject, that's the subject and everything that describes it. So the way of the Lord there is the complete subject. Is strength to the upright is your complete predicate. It's your verb and everything that goes with the verb. The simple subject, that's just the one word that's actually the subject. In this example, it's way. The simple predicate is just the one verb. And here, the simple predicate is just is. Way is. The types of sentences. There are four main types of sentences. The first one is the declarative, that's in purple. A declarative sentence tells about something. It ends with a period. For example, my father's name is Mark. I'm watching TV now. By the way, again, that's not true. My father's name is not Mark. My father's name is Jim. But anyway, not important. Those sentences, they just tell you, they just make a statement. This is what's going on. This is what his name is. Nothing else. Look at the red part. Interrogative sentences. An interrogative sentence asks something. It ends with a question mark. So for example, what is your favorite food? Question mark. Who is cooking the brownies? Question mark. Those are preguntas, they're questions, so they end with a question mark. Look at the top of the second column. In green, we have imperative sentences. An imperative sentence tells someone to do something. It ends with a period. For example, complete these by tomorrow. Be nice to your friends. These are commands. You're being told to do something, and it ends with a period. Exclamatory sentences, in blue down below it. An exclamatory sentence shows strong feeling. It ends with an exclamation point. For example, oh, I forgot about the meeting. You have that exclamation of oh in the beginning. We're going to the holiday, yippee! That's how we felt, right? When we went on Christmas vacation, and now we're back. But anyway, not important. So exclamatory sentence that shows strong feeling, strong emotion, sudden emotion, all of that goes with exclamatory, and it ends with an exclamation point. All right, let's talk about simple sentences. Our founding fathers drafted the Constitution in 1787. This is a simple sentence because it has in it just one subject and one verb. The verb is drafted, which means wrote, and then the subject is founding fathers. So who drafted? The founding fathers drafted. You have just one set of subject verbs. Tyler and Cameron dove into the pool and swam to the other side. This also is a simple sentence. Even though you have two verbs, you have dove and swam, you actually only have one set of subject verbs. You just have a compound subject, Tyler and Cameron, and a compound verb, dove and swam. Because both Tyler and Cameron, they both dove and they both swam. Now, if I said Tyler dove into the pool and Cameron swam to the other side, that would be different because I'm saying that only Tyler dove and only Cameron swam. So now it's two separate sets. But nope, this is one set. Tyler and Cameron dove and swam. So it's one simple sentence. So you have to be careful. Just because you see an and doesn't make it a compound sentence. A compound sentence has two sets of subject and verbs, and it is joined either by a comma and, so not just simply an and, comma and, ooh, my box got tall, or a semicolon. That's what joins a compound sentence. A comma and conjunction might be comma but or comma for, but typically it'll be comma and, or a semicolon. So here we have, I chose the card and she chose the gift. So the verb in your first sentence is chose. Who chose? I chose. In the second one, chose. Who chose? Here, she chose, because you guys chose different things. So this is one set on the first side, second set on the other side. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. On this side of the semicolon, you have is. Who is? The Lord is. And then on this side, you have I shall not want. Shall want is your verb. Be careful, it's not the not. The word not is an adverb. It's never a verb. Who shall want? I shall want. You couldn't say the Lord shall want. Nope, it's I. I goes with these verbs, or this verb phrase, excuse me. And Lord goes only with is. So that makes it compound because it's two separate subject-verb groups. This is one group. This is another group. Okay? So you have to kind of check to see how many sets you have. If you have one set, which can be compound, your sentence is simple. If you have two sets, it's compound. So here are the steps to finding the subject and the verb. Number one, you find the verb first. So your clue is to look for a word that shows action and look for words from the verb list. So here's an example, a refresher of your verb lists. Your linking or helping verbs are am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Your action or helping verbs, we say that they can be action because if you have do or does just by itself, it's action. But if you have it with another verb, they would be a helping verb. Have, has, had, do, does, did. Helping verbs are shall, will, should, may, might, must, can, could. And these verbs are either action or linking, depending on what they do. Taste, feel, smell, sound, look, appear, become, seem, grow, remain, stay. But they are all verbs. It's a very good idea to have this chart memorized. So pause your video, write down this chart. You have it in your book in various places. So if you still have those pages, you haven't torn them out and lost them or anything like that, then you don't need to write it down, but you do need to study them and memorize them if you don't already have them memorized. Very, very important. Steps to finding the subject and verb continued. So number one, we find the verb. Number two, we find the subject. So you ask who or what before the verb, and never, ever, ever look in a prepositional phrase. So step one, we find the verb, all of the verb. Make sure you look around to see if there are helping verbs with it or to see if it's compound. Don't just find one word that works as a verb and say, oh, found the verb. No, you got to look around, check your whole sentence, make sure you got it all. And then you ask who or what before the verb. And the word that answers that question, as long as it's not in a prepositional phrase, is going to be your subject. The old car poked along the dusty road. Excuse me. What's your verb? It's a very interesting verb. It kind of means it just like slowly drove along. Poked, that's right, poked. You can kind of imagine the old car plunk, 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 going down the road little by little. So what poked? The car poked. Hopefully you could get that from all my hints. So that's your subject and verb. Simple sentence? Yes, that's it, because there are no other verbs. The row of bushes is long. What's your verb here? Well, this one should be easy because you should recognize right away that verb is. Now just take a look around. Is there anything that is goes with? Is it standing by itself or is it helping another verb? It's standing by itself. So my verb is just is. What is? If you said bushes, you'd be incorrect because bushes is in a prepositional phrase. So that can't be it. Row is. So if you said row, good job. The row is what's long. The girls baked all day. What's our verb here? Baked. Pretty straightforward, short sentence. Who baked? The girls baked. Very good. The verb phrase is the main verb and it's helping verbs, not any modifiers or interrupters. A modifier is an adjective or an adverb, something that describes. So when you are looking around for your verb and you see that it's more than one word, be careful because not every word that's even in between the verb is part of the verb. So for example, Jan will not often forget her homework. Well, what's the verb? You probably recognize will immediately. Will what? Is that it? It's will forget. Who will forget? Jan. But this word not, oops, and this word often, those are both modifiers. They are both adverbs describing how often Jan will forget. So the verb is only will forget. Jan will forget, not the words not and often. So those are interrupters, they're modifiers, they are not actually verbs. So be careful. Don't just say, oh, will, okay, will is probably a helping verb, so will not, and then move on. No, 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 no. You have to check the whole thing and make sure that you are not circling anything that is not a verb. The word not will never, ever, ever be a verb. You'll often see it with the verbs because it's an adverb, describes verbs, and it's a common adverb, but it is not a verb. Never, ever will be a verb. So never, ever, ever, underline it, circle it, choose it as the verb. To overcome problems locating subjects and verbs, we're going to be talking about this for the next few slides. Be careful with the following. So the first thing is inverted order. That invert means to switch. So this is a switched order of the subject and the verb. And we see that with interrogative sentences, with questions. They're often phrased by putting the verb in front of the subject. Will you go with us? So first find the verb. Will. Is that it? No, there's also the word go. Will go. That's an action. So will go is the verb. Who will go? You will go. So be careful. Will is not your subject with you go as the verb. No, it's will you go. Here's the next problem. Again with inverted order, sentences beginning with here, with there, or here. When your sentence begins with there or here, the verb and the subject often switch, and the verb ends up coming first. There are several reasons for my answer. There is not your subject. Your verb is are. Is that it? Yes, there are no other verbs. But what are? It's not there are. There is actually an adverb answering the question where. The reasons are. The reasons are there, but the reasons are, not there are. Here's another problem. Imperative sentences. Look at that sentence. Come here. Is here your subject? No. What's your verb? It's come. Who or what? Come. Who is being spoken to? It's a command, so you are being spoken to. So the subject is understood as being you. You come here. You is the subject, understood you. So with imperatives, you have to be careful. Don't look for another subject. It's always going to be understood you. Just make sure that you have all of the verb phrase. Overcome problems locating subjects and verbs. Also be careful with appositives. Appositives are a description of the subject or even another noun within the sentence that if you took it out of the sentence, you would still have a complete sentence. It's just something that gives further information. For example, Mr. Jones, our new teacher, is from Florida. The appositive is our new teacher. If you took that out, you'd still have a sentence. Mr. Jones is from Florida. First, let's find our verb. You said is, you are right. Is there anything else? No, this one's just is. Now, who is? It's not teacher because we can take out that whole phrase. It's Mr. Jones. Very good. Mr. Jones is the subject. Also, interrupted verb phrases can create problems. You will not always win every race. What's your verb here? Well, remember we've said that not is always an adverb and it's not going to be part of the verb. Will and win. So your verb is will win. The word always is also an adverb telling how often you will win. So who will win? You will win. So be careful. Don't just underline words because they're near each other. You have to truly think through and analyze. If you don't know what a word is or what it means, look it up. Don't guess. And I know that that takes extra time in your homework that you probably don't want to do, but that's also how you learn English, is to look up words that you don't know what they mean. And when you look them up and you know what they mean, you'll know how they're being used in the sentence. Because if you look up a word and it says that it's a noun, well then it's obviously not going to be your verb, right? So that will help you. If you also want to ask me, I would be happy to help you as well. Subjects and verbs may be compound. We talked about this a little earlier. Cats and dogs make excellent pets, but require time and attention. What's your verb here? Or verbs? Make and require. What make and require? Well, cats make and require. What else? Anything else, or is that it? Dogs, they also make and require. So again, this is one set. This is a simple sentence because just your subject and verb are compound, not the sentence itself. Because dogs and cats go with both make and with require. All right, so your homework for today is to complete Language C, page 70, and you need to do all of it. So the first thing says kinds of sentences. On notebook paper, write a sentence for each of the following. A, an imperative sentence. B, a declarative sentence, which is compound. So you need two separate subject-verb sets joined by a comma and conjunction or by a semicolon. Letter C is an interrogative sentence with a compound verb. So it's a simple sentence. There's one subject-verb set, but your verb is compound. So your verb is joined by and or but. And then letter D, an exclamatory sentence with a compound subject. So this time you still have a simple sentence, but your subject is what's joined by the conjunction. Then your next section is capitalization. Mark each incorrect small letter. So underline it or circle it. Subjects, verbs, and diagramming. Underline each verb 2 times and each subject 1 time. Use the rule. Find the verb first, then ask who or what before it to find your subject. Be careful of all those things that we went through today. Now, 2, where it says diagram the subjects and verbs on notebook paper, you can cross that out. You don't have to diagram. All right. That is it for today. I know this was a bit of a longer grammar lesson, but this is trying to review to get you ready for your evaluation. So I hope that it was a little bit helpful for you guys. Have a great day. Love you very much. Bye.